to this new video. Today we are going to deal with the Dalton's atomic theory. You know, Dalton proposed a theory based on laws of chemical combinations. In the previous video we have studied about the different laws of chemical combinations, among which the first one was law of constant mass, means law of conservation of mass, means during the chemical reaction masses of the reacting substances remain the same even after the completion of the reaction, means sum of the masses of the reactants is equal to sum of the masses of the product. In the second law of chemical combination we have studied that law of definite proportion. According to this law, two or more elements combined together in a definite ratio by their masses or volume to form the chemical compound. And in the third law we have studied about the law of multiple proportion. This law was proposed by John Dalton in 1803, and on the basis of this law he proposed a theory regarding the structure of matter, commonly known as atomic theory of matter. According to Dalton, he has taken out the theme of the concept of atom from the ancient Indian and Greek philosophers, that is, the ultimate particle of matter is nothing but the atom. So, the concept of atom was derived from the ancient concept of atom as proposed by Indian philosopher Maharishi Kanad and the Greek philosopher Democritus. So, he retained the same concept for the ultimate structural unit of matter. So, according to Dalton, he proposed certain postulates, and it is commonly known as postulates of atomic theory of Dalton. He proposed this theory in 1808. According to this theory, Dalton's atomic theory, matter is made up of a structural and functional unit. Ultimate structural functional unit is the atom. Atom actually is termed by combining two words, A plus tomos. A means not, tomos means division. So, atom may be considered as the smallest structural unit of the substance which cannot be decomposed further into smaller particles. So, atom is the structural or the building blocks of matter, a structural and functional unit of matter. So, all matter is ultimately composed of this atom. Now, atoms are indivisible. According to this theory, atoms are indivisible, means atoms cannot be divided into even a smaller fraction or the smaller particles. Just like we know that hydrogen is the simplest element, having its atomic number 1 and atomic mass also 1, means the atom of hydrogen is the smallest entity. So, hydrogen atom cannot be decomposed into other form of matter or even the smaller fragments. So, the ultimate particle is the atom. Atoms are indivisible, means it cannot be divided into a smaller fragments or the particles. Now, according to this theory, the atoms of a given element, all the atoms of a given element are identical in their masses and chemical behavior. Means, if we consider a particular element, suppose iron. So, iron is an element. All the atoms of iron are identical in their masses as well as their chemical behavior or the properties. In the same way, if we take an element sodium, then whatever be the sources of their recovery, methods of preparation, methods of manufacturing, it doesn't matter. If we take or consider sodium as an element, then all the atoms of sodium are identical in their masses and chemical behavior. Similarly, all the atoms of hydrogen are quite similar with each other. Means all the atoms of hydrogen are identical in their masses and chemical behavior. So this was the third postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. Now Dalton stated that the atoms of different elements are different in their masses and chemical behavior. Atoms of different elements. Suppose that we consider two elements, means sodium and potassium. These two elements have their own atoms, but the atoms of sodium are quite different from atoms of potassium in their masses and chemical properties or behavior. Means the properties of sodium is quite different from the properties of potassium. Similarly, the mass, means atomic mass of sodium is different from the atomic mass of potassium. In the same way, the atomic mass of hydrogen is quite different from the atomic mass of oxygen. So whatever be the number of elements, they have their own atoms, and their atoms are different from each other in their chemical behavior as well as their masses. Now we have a limited number of elements. At present there are 118 elements in all, but we have enormously infinite number of chemical substances around and about us in different fields, in different walks of life. We use variety of chemical substances. So these enormously large number of chemical substances are ultimately made up of atoms of limited number of elements. But how do we get them? So next postulate states that when two or more elements combine together in a definite proportion by mass, they form a compound. Means in a given compound, the number and type of atoms remain the same. Means the ratio of their masses remains the same, such as hydrogen and oxygen combined together in a definite ratio 1/8 by mass to form the chemical compound water, which is a very common chemical substance. It has highly beneficial importance for our lives. So, similarly, sodium chloride is a compound of sodium and chlorine. When sodium and chlorine combine together in a definite ratio by their mass, means if 20 gram of sodium combines with 35.5 gram of chlorine, they produce 58.5 gram of sodium chloride. So this is the mass ratio, definite mass ratio by which these two elements combine to form the chemical compound, that is sodium chloride. So there are enormously large number of chemical compounds, but in all the different compounds, their constituent elements constitute different ratio by their masses. And the last one is in a given chemical compound, the number and type of the atoms are same. Means, suppose H2O, a water molecule, the molecule of water contains two atoms of hydrogen combined with one atom of oxygen chemically. So, in a given compound, the number and type of the atoms of constituent elements is always the same, always constant. Every chemical compound has its own composition. So these are the different postulates of Dalton, who proposed the theory after the utilization of laws of chemical combinations. Now, let us start another term. What is atom? We know that next properties of matter is we have to know about atom. So next term is what is atom? Just I have told you that atom is the smallest structural and functional unit of an element. But how large or small is the atom? What is the size of atom? What is the number of atoms in a particular sample of an element? How do we express this? How do we represent the atom of an element? So, atom of an element is the structural and functional unit of an element. The size of the atom is of very small order, which is beyond our imagination. Means we have not seen such a small particle, such a small entity in our day-to-day life. You may imagine that the size of the atom, or the order of the size of the atom is 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter, or 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So how small is the size of atom? So it is very difficult to isolate an atom, and we may demonstrate before you that this is atom. This is the size of atom. It is not possible because it is so small that even the powerful microscope is not able to observe them. By using the electron microscope or electron tunneling microscope, a very disfigured or overlapping a structure of the atom can be visualized under the powerful microscope like the electron tunneling microscope. In your book, it is given that this is the photograph of the atom, an image of surface of silicon. Means if we try to observe the surface of a given element or sheet of a given element under the electron microscope, it may appear like the combination of or aggregation of large number of atoms together, and they are not obtained in our vision as individual atom. Even when it is magnified to a large extent, you may even imagine that if it is visualized under the electron microscope, even that we are not able to see the atom individually separated from each other or having independent existence. So atoms are so small that it can only be imagined by making a resemblance with the existing object, just like we may say that it is just like a spherical ball. But actually, what is the size of atom and what is the shape of atom, we are not confirmed to express the size and this size as well as the shape of the atom absolutely. Now different elements are represented by using the symbols of the element. Now how do we represent the symbol of an element and their atoms? The first attempt in this direction was made by John Dalton. He proposed some pictorial diagram, some pictorial representation of the common elements known at that time, just like he proposed the symbol of elements hydrogen as this. This was the hydrogen, the representation of hydrogen. Element hydrogen is like this, a circle with a dot at its middle, that is at its center. In the same way, carbon. Carbon was represented like this. The entire sphere is shaded black. This is carbon, hydrogen, carbon. Similarly, phosphorus. Phosphorus like this. This was the symbolic representation of phosphorus. Phosphorus, hydrogen, carbon, sulfur like this. Sulfur. Similarly, oxygen, and so on. So these are the very few elements, means hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus and sulfur. These are the symbolic representation of the elements. Means hydrogen was represented like this, carbon was represented by a symbol like this, oxygen was represented by a symbol like this, means O, and phosphorus represented like this, and sulfur and so on. But these representations of the elements create a very rigorous problem on representing the formula of chemical compounds. How? If the number of atoms in a given compound is large, means multi-atomic molecules, means polyatomic molecules. So, in order to represent the molecular formula of polyatomic molecules by using these symbolic symbols of the element, become very difficult to represent on the pen and paper. It requires large space as well as very difficult to draw the structure, as well as it is very difficult to understand also. So, this symbol of representing the name of the element or the type of the element is was discarded, and later on the symbols of the elements were expressed in terms of the one or two letters of the name of the element. These symbols is called literal symbol, and this was proposed by the scientist Berzelius, who proposed the alphabetical representation of the symbols of the element. He proposed the symbol of the elements using one or two letters of the name of the element. According to this representation, let us try to understand this. See here, the symbolic representation as proposed by Berzelius. In this representation, in this representation, either first letter of the English name or first and some other important letter of English or the Greek or the Latin name of the element were used as the symbol for the elements. Suppose here hydrogen, see here hydrogen, it is represented by H. The first letter of hydrogen is H. Oxygen, O. Carbon, C, and so on. Similarly, there are two letter symbols like calcium, Ca, strontium, Sr, and so on. These are the double letter symbols. The symbols may be derived from the Latin name also, just like there are few elements which were discussed here, see this, the symbol of sodium, its Latin name is natrium, and symbol is sodium. Similarly, potassium, Kalium, symbol is K. Iron, ferrum, Fe. Copper, cuprum, Cu. Mercury, hydrargyrum, Hg. Tin, plumbum, stannum, Sn. Lead, plumbum, Pb. Similarly, gold, aurum, Au. Silver, argentum, Ag, and so on. So, different symbols have been used for different elements. Either the symbol may contain single letter or double letter, but it is noted that on representing the symbol of a particular element having single letter, it must be capital, written capital. And if the symbol of the element is of double letter, then first letter must be capital and the small letter must be a small. See here Au, A is capital, U is a small, Ag, A is capital, G is a small, Na, so N is capital, A is a small, Fe, F is capital, E is a small, Cu, C is capital, U is a small, Hg, H is capital, G is a small, Sn, S capital, N a small, Pb, P capital, B a small, and so on. So these are the methods by which we can represent the symbol of an element. The symbol of an element also express the name of the element, it represents the atom of the element. The symbol of an element represents one atom of the element. It also represents one mole of the element, as well as the symbol of element represents the atomic mass of the element. Means if we express the chemical reaction in terms of this symbolic representation, sodium, suppose that we write sodium combines with chlorine and form sodium chloride. It means what? Na represents 23 grams of sodium and Cl represents 35.5 gram of chlorine. So this is the representation of the elements as well as its significance. So what are the significance of the symbol of an element? Means first it represents the name of the element. If we write Na, if anyone asks you what is Na, then you immediately say that Na means sodium. So it represented the name of the element. Again, if you are asked, then what does it mean? Means one atom of the sodium. Again, 1 gram atomic mass of sodium means sodium. If we write sodium, it represents 23 gram of sodium. If we write H only, then it represents 1 gram of hydrogen and so on. Similarly, 1 mole of sodium means Na represents 23 grams of sodium. When we represent the same thing in molar form, molar ratio, then it represents 1 mole of the element, as well as it also represents the number of particles present, number of atoms present in 1 mole of the element. Means Na means 23 grams of sodium means 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of sodium. So 1 mole of sodium is also represented by this symbol. So these are the various uses or significance of the symbol of element. Now we will discuss its further utilization in the next class. I think you have understood the representation of an element, Dalton's atomic theory, and if you have any difficulty in this chapter or in this topic, you may ask. Thank you very much.